program I use decided to do a massive update today. And I'm not sure it's working. Guess we'll find out together in just a second now, won't we? Goodness gracious. You can always tell when the kids have been in here because the set is a wreck. Don't they know that this, if you mess with the green screen, it's very particular, okay? I don't want you all to know that this set back here is not actually real. It's just a big green screen. If you touch it too hard, it'll fall over, and then the show will be over, right? All right. I had no time to prepare because XSplit was giving me a heck of a lot of trouble. So you all can ask me whatever you want today. How about that? Ask Jonathan Little anything and I'll answer it. Before we get started, I am having a fall sale on many of the things we offer at Poker Coaching and PokerCoaching.com. If you want to get the best value by a mile, just get Poker Coaching Premium. There you get access to the 30-day tournament challenge. We go through lots and lots of things to help get you ready to play poker. Also, we have a 14-day tournament challenge. We have a 3-betting challenge. We have lots and lots of content for many of the best players in the world. Just last week, DraftGanger, #1 player in the world about 2 years ago, whenever he was playing all the time, he streamed for us all day, and it was great. It's a great time. Let's see. Looks like it somehow recut this. That's not good. Let's see if I can fix this at all. All right, I think I fixed it. Okay. Which tournament do you like the most? I like the I like the Party Poker Caribbean Poker Party. So I used to saying the Poker Stars Caribbean Poker Adventure because that was one of my favorites for a long time. But the Party Poker Caribbean Poker Party is great. They just actually canceled it this year. Maybe it'll be playing online. Won't be the same. I love going to the Bahamas, love going to play there, and it is fantastic. Let you be the first to click the like button. Oh, well, thank you. Wow, look at your beard. No, this is just me not shaving for 4 days. Are you able to sign any of your books? Not at the moment. You have to understand, the whole signing process at home is very, very difficult. Basically, I have to get books mailed to me, then I have to go and mail them back. It's just like, takes a lot of time. However, if you ever catch me at a tournament, I'm happy to sign them at the World Series of Poker. Whenever that is, we'll certainly have a book booth there, and I'll be happy to sign a pile of them, and I'll make sure that there's some of those available for all of you to buy. So you may have to wait until whenever the World Series is. Hopefully they have the World Series this year. 31st year wedding anniversary today. Your longest winning streak. LOL. Congrats. My $1,000 buy-in tournament view of Michael Acevedo was great. Yeah, we try to work together with all the other poker coaching coaches. It's very important to make sure you are learning from others. Are you planning on streaming on Sunday? I was, but Bravado is still taking their time. I sent them an email yesterday. Excuse me, you said I would be up and running within 24 hours. And it's been about 24 hours times 9 now. So, figure that out. How important are solvers for low-limit live cash games? Not really, but you still need to understand the principles that come from them, right? You want to make sure you understand if the opponent's a lunatic, the solver will tell you to not fold against them, right? That's just common sense, though. The question is how much do you not fold against them, and that's where things like solvers are very beneficial. Is 30% in the money too high? Perhaps. Whenever you get in the money a lot, it either implies your games are just like super, super, super soft, or it implies that you're playing using a strategy that results in you cashing too often and not winning often enough. It's actually not all that hard to cash in poker tournaments, and 30% is certainly doable. But in exchange for getting that 30% cash, what ends up happening is you do not win the tournament nearly as often because you just sneak into the money a lot. So Nick from Yuma, how can someone have an ITM that's too high? That's that. Wait, a high in the money is not good? No, it's not good. Some of the biggest losers in poker have a very high cash rate because these players think they're doing right. They think they're winning because they cash a lot, and they inevitably play for forever. Remember, Dale Negreanu did a study of people who had played more than 50 World Poker Tour tournaments back in the day. He was the biggest winner. I was the second biggest winner, so that was nice. But the biggest losers were players who had the highest cash rates. 3 or 4 or 5 of them all were like 30, 35% cashers, but they literally never won. Doesn't do you a whole lot of good to get 1.5 buy-ins back. So, like, actually, back in the day, whenever you cash, you'd get 2 buy-ins back, which made it not so terrible to be super nitty. Because if you do cash like 30-35% of the time, and you get 2 buy-ins back, that recovers 70% of your money immediately. And then all you have to do is run hot every once in a while. But now when you cash, you get 1.5 buy-ins back, and it makes it just way, way more difficult. Do you think Dara O'Kearney would be open to doing some webinars for poker coaching? Given he actively has lied about me on social media, posting fake reviews of my books and vulgar things like that pertaining to me, I highly doubt that he would want to work with me or I would want to work with him. I typically don't work with people who take people's work out of context and lie. So, no. Are sheep heavier when it rains? I think they must be, right? Well, the sheep themselves are probably not heavier, but I have to imagine the wool on the sheep seems to be heavier, even though in reality you're just picking up water, right? What secrets does Phil Hellmuth use to win so many tournaments? I don't know. I think he's really good at reading people, and he's really good at getting people to make stupid mistakes against him. I mean, if you just watch him on like World Series of Poker TV commentary, people just do all sorts of absurd stuff. I remember there was one where he had like ace king and it came like king blank blank, and he had ace king and he was against aces, and his opponent was like basically announced, I have aces, and he folded and he was right. And it's like, I mean, it's amazing when that happens. So congrats on that. You feel like you're the only player left boycotting Sheldon Adelson. I mean, I haven't been at the Venetian in quite a while. Is that movement over with You Take It? No, I think everybody knows to not go to play at Venetian. I presume everybody knows that. That said, I mean, look. Poker players have a problem where they have a very difficult time actually boycotting. The reason is because if you're only out for yourself, as a lot of poker players are, they don't care about anyone. They're happy to lie, cheat, and steal if that's what it comes to. If that is you, if all the good players stop playing at Venetian, or any place you decide to boycott, where should you go play? Well, obviously, you should go play at those places, because that's where you're going to make the most money possible, right? Because all the good players left, you might as well go play there. And the issue is that these places will never really actually be hurt substantially by a boycott, because even if 20% of the poker players don't go there, all of the people who are substantially more predatory are always going to go there. Have you seen the turnouts in the last events? No, not really paying attention to them. Do you think they'll ever legally sell marijuana online? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, and I certainly don't know much about marijuana laws. You can't beat anything above 5 cent Tencent online. Is it okay to play that for the rest of your life and build a bankroll? Well, you won't make a ton of money from it, but certainly there's nothing wrong with playing it. You salute me and Amy for keeping our relationship together. Oh, man. Sorry yours did not make it if that's what you wanted. Typically, if people don't want to be together, they're better off not together. Don't know if that's any consolation. But you do your best to make it work. And I mean, there's no guarantee that anything's going to continue happening in the future, but you do your best. You satellite into a $50 tournament. You usually play $5 to $10 tournaments. Should you expect a sharp spike in villain competency? Yeah, I would generally say so. Do the new generation of players not care or remember about the Venetian? I think they just don't care. Online poker is doing okay, at least not in America. Everywhere else, online poker is doing pretty great. It's doing horribly in America, a lot because of the Venetian's efforts. I mean, look, if you hate online poker, and if you hate poker in general, you should go play at the Venetian. Right? Simple as that. So whenever you go to play there, you're essentially saying, I want online poker dead. And, to be fair, if you're bad at online poker, if you're actually just like a bad poker player, you probably do want online poker dead. So, it makes sense. That's why people would go there. That said, I think a lot of people are just oblivious, right? You can't really associate people's behaviors with malicious intent if they're just ignorant. And a lot of people are just ignorant. Ignorant's not a bad word, by the way. I think a lot of people think ignorant means like maliciously stupid, but it doesn't. It just means you don't know any better. A lot of people just don't know any better. I bet. The thing is, though, like, imagine if you walked into Venetian and you presented everyone with a flyer showing how they are actively trying to destroy online poker. If you showed them that, would they actually get up and leave? No, they don't care. They're not playing online. They're playing at Venetian. Would we have stayed there against the bad player indefinitely if they're just like donking off all their money? Depends on what you're trying to accomplish. You're loving the poker coaching app. Yeah, check it out. We have a new app for pokercoaching.com. Search poker coaching in the iTunes or Android app store. It'll come right up. I have a new book, by the way, Excelling at Tough No Limit Hold'em Games, right down there. It currently only has 2 reviews on Amazon. I would love to get more reviews than 2. Thank you to whoever left a review the other day. I asked some of you to leave a review. I got 1. So we'd like to get more than 1. If you would like to leave me a review, I would highly appreciate it. We get signed up for Ignition yet? They're taking their time. Any movement to legalize World Series events online? No. Not as far as I know. You think online is dead? No. What's my Instagram handle? @JCardShark. You have a difficult time not folding your big blind to a min raise. You're supposed to defend with everything besides the worst hands, Nick. All of these charts are very clearly listed in the poker coaching app. Get the poker coaching app, study it. I'm telling you, that's how you will master these spots. What happened to the big name players that burst onto the scene? Well, most people who got into poker in the, they were already in poker and they were already crushing it back in 2003. A lot of them just got rich, right? If you had, illegal full tilt money lining your pockets, turns out if you're smart about it, you just stockpile away a few $100,000 a month, and you do that for 3 years, and then you're good to go. Some of them blew it. Some of them are still playing poker out in plain sight, and they catch crap for their involvement with things like this. That said, other people did it the right way. They were representing the sites that were not doing things illegally, and often they didn't make nearly as much money, but they were doing fine. But in reality, a lot of the players who were more of the old school type of player, they completely lack the fundamentals to actually crush the games, and that results in them not being all that great of poker players. Turns out you have to play very, very good, fundamentally sound poker today to win at the highest stakes. How do you deal with people who have over 50% VPIP? Depends on how they play. Are they loose and aggressive, or are they weak and tight and passive? If they're loose and aggressive, just don't fold. If they're weak and tight and passive, but they play every hand, just value bet them to death. What's the ideal money in the money percentage? Usually about 50% more than what the average field should cash. So if 15% of the field cashes, something like 20, 22% is usually thought to be pretty good. How much does post-flop play different in tournaments to cash? A little bit, not a ton. Did I watch the debates last night? Yes. What are my thoughts? The moderator did a very, very poor job. And Trump should probably not say things like, my white supremacist friends, stand by, stand down, you'll be all right, come back later. Probably not the optimal thing to say if you're trying to win over any voters whatsoever. So that statement alone kind of wrecked it for him. That said, I'm not a political commentary person, so my opinion is irrelevant. What did the Venetian do to boycott or to warrant boycotting besides disagreeing with my political views? Again, I don't really care so much about political views. I care about poker and the idea of we want to destroy poker and make poker substantially smaller in America and force people to play. If they're going to play poker, they're going to play poker in exactly our live casino. That sounds pretty aggressive to me, and I do not think that is right. How does a debate relate to poker? I have no clue. I have no idea. I think the debate was a whole lot of nonsense. My wife didn't watch it. She said, so what, did you learn anything? I'm like, no, not really. I learned that the people trying to be the president cannot follow simple rules of the moderator, which implies a whole lot. If you can't follow simple rules, then it's kind of scary. What do you think? Do you want your kids to be poker pros? No. I'd rather my kids get good, stable jobs because that's a whole lot easier. What do you think of Fader Holes making $2 million? Making 2 days, $2 million without any study. I'm pretty sure Fader Holtz has been working and studying at poker since he was very, very young. He's said this many times where he's devoted his life to poker for multiple years. So I don't know what kind of silly statement that is. Certainly, you don't have to study poker nearly as much if you're already literally one of the best in the world. How much percent of time should you dedicate to study, says Matt. Matt, I don't know your scenario. I don't know what situation you're in. If you're already a world-class player, you don't need to study nearly as much as if you're not good at all. If you're not good at all, you should be spending almost all of your time studying. Can we get a brief discussion of the principles discussed in the new book on multi-way play? Long story short, you should probably want to be playing way tighter than you are. A lot of people splash around way too much. They think they have way bigger implied odds than they do. They think they can make the best hand when they make bad two-pair, stuff like that. When it goes bet call or bet raise in front of you, you need to be really nitty. Basically, I looked at a lot of multi-way situations in Monker Solver, and it shows that multi-way, against competent players, you need to be pretty tight. Now, if your opponents are not competent, if they're just going to be blasting it and doing nonsense, then you can't really fold as often, but that's the gist of it. You have to be a little bit more cautious than I think a lot of people are. When you're in later position, you do get to bet a lot, though, when they check to you. How was my experience playing in Dominican Republic when I took second? It was great. I have had no problems in the Dominican Republic. I've been there twice, and the places I've been have been fun. How do you play high volume when you keep missing the flop? Well, you have to understand you're going to miss the flop most of the time. That's how No Limit Hold'ems work. No Limit Hold'em works. What's a good way to increase your poker stamina? Practice. Practice. Work hard. Also, get in better physical shape. Get in better mental shape. Learn to play games for long periods of time. Learn to not get bored, right? Learn to not get distracted. It's a difficult thing, though. A lot of it's biological conditioning. You have to get in there and work. Do you think Doyle didn't have great fundamentals? Doyle has made it clear that he was just overly loose and aggressive back in the day, and people folded way too often. Would you trust America's card room? With what? With my children's life? No. With $50,000? No. Let's see. Fedor showed a graph. He's up a bunch of money. Yeah, I know Fedor's up a bunch of money. What's your question? You're saying he didn't make a bunch of money overnight. That's not how poker works. Basically, every overnight success you see started off with nothing and worked their way up from there. I mean, I started with $50. Here we are today, right? You have to understand that there are no overnight successes. And if you look at people and think they're overnight successes, you're not paying attention to everything that happened before their success. Look at my training site, right? I mean, a lot of people think, oh, this poker coaching thing's just popped up and it's doing great. I've been at this for like 12 years. And I lost money for like the first 4 or 5, right? I mean, that's just how lots of things are. You don't just start off winning all the money. I hate to break it to you. You still use Poker Snowy on a regular basis. Not on a regular basis, but sometimes. Do players on televised games get paid from the producers? Usually not. Some people will. Some people will get good perks to go play. I don't think I've ever been paid anything or given any sort of decent perk to go. Like I remember one time I went somewhere and they gave me a hotel room for, $100 a night. But no, they typically don't give you, at least they don't give the pros much. They do give some of the like higher name people stuff sometimes, but usually not cash. Who wants to destroy poker? The people who are in charge of the Venetian spend tons of money to try to get online poker banned from America nationwide. Why was the debate show so short? They have 4 of them. Also, Americans' attention span seems to be cut off after about 10 seconds. Do you think solvers should be used by low-stakes players against people who are mostly recreational? Frost, I think a lot of people don't understand what solvers do. Solvers give you the correct output based on whatever input you put for the player you're playing against. So, if you input that your opponents are playing like your particular opponent in small stakes games, if they're loose, passive, and weak, you can input that into the solver, and the solver will tell you the optimal thing to do against that player. So, the question is, do you want to know how to play well against your opponents? If you do, then you should probably learn how to either use the solvers or know what comes from the solvers, right? And if you don't care how to adjust appropriately, it is what it is. You do pretty well in 5 no limit, but you don't do well in 2 no limit. Any idea why? Probably sample size. Maybe you have some mindset flaw where you don't care when you're playing small stakes or something. How do you study the hands you played? I go through them and see if I see anything that I think could be speculative, and then I run it, talk about it with friends, etc. Did I read an old antiquated book? I've read almost every poker book. A lot of them are not so great. You live in Miami, so you can only play live. That's not true. You can play online. You plan on traveling to play online. Where do I recommend? I mean, I would recommend just staying in Miami and playing live. That said, if you can go to... I mean, I think right now the only place you can fly to play on the overseas sites is like Mexico. That said, you need to make sure you're set up on the sites ahead of time because you can't just go to Mexico and log on and play. It doesn't work like that. You have to be a resident of those places, or at least for GG, you have to have like receipts and whatnot. And you have to set yourself up ahead of time. It's not as easy as just going and logging on and playing. It's not like playing in Nevada whenever you're in America. Would I flat hands like Queen 9 suited, Queen 8 suited versus under the gun raised, 26 big blinds deep? No, absolutely not. How do you finish off a tournament? You always take the last 15 to 30, but you never seem to win. Well, variance again, right? How many times are we deep in these spots? 10, 20, 30? Understand, you're only going to win 1 in 30 times when you get down to the final 30 if you're average. How long, or are we worried that we think tournaments will become solved like Limit Hold'em? The problem is if they are, it's just way more difficult to implement. I mean, No Limit Hold'em to some extent is already solved. And the problem is that you just can't implement it at all. Michael Acevedo, our coach at Poker Coaching, has solved all the common spots. All of them. Every single one of them already. He has the whole database. He can access it whenever he wants. And it's still not that... I mean, it's useful, but it's not that applicable, right? Because it's hard to implement the strategy. When are we going to go play a live tournament again? Who knows? Who knows? Paella, seafood or meat? Definitely seafood. Oh, I love a good paella. It's hard to find a good one. Have we been streaming long? We started at 9 a.m., so 24 minutes. You keep in touch with the ship at Halabalas. Not so much. Whenever I see them, we're friendly. But I mean, the issue is like, people have their own lives. They grow apart, you know? Like a lot of them don't even play poker anymore. I know a lot of them are doing things in other aspects of gambling or business, and some of them are in Macau, you know? It's just like, whenever you don't see people for a long time, it's kind of hard to stay in touch so much. I think one thing that at least happens to me, and I think other poker players, is they don't need to stay in touch. Like, I think a lot of people feel like they have to call and talk to someone every week or every day to feel like they're in touch. And I just don't think that that's necessary for a lot of poker players. Like, you can just see someone a year later and not talk to them for a year and be perfectly good friends. Do you make deals when you get in the money? No. Read Jonathan Little, Let's Not Make a Deal. Can you recommend a good solver? Munker Solver is the best one, but it's not good for most people because you need a very, very good computer. I would recommend for everyone out there asking what solver to get. Understand it's not as easy as just getting a solver and using it. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of work. I would definitely recommend going to pokercoaching.com/fall sale, getting Poker Coaching Premium, then going through all of the solver-related content by Michael Acevedo, who wrote Modern Poker Theory, stuff by Matt Affleck, and stuff by Faraz Jaka. They have a lot of game theory optimal and exploitative play demonstrated using solvers. So do that, check that out. That's definitely the first step. Don't just like buy Pio Solver for $1,000 and start using it. It's not the play for almost anyone. Also, don't get those like very basic GTO programs. There's some out there that basically just solve like very, very common spots and they give you those. I don't think that's all that useful either because you're not able to adjust what your opponents do wrong, right? The big value in the solvers, a lot of people may not realize this, but a big value of the solvers is being able to adjust to what your opponents do wrong, not just what's the GTO strategy against another GTO player. Because you're not playing against GTO players for the most part. What positions and stack sizes did people make the most mistakes? Oh, all of them. I mean, look, people make mistakes in all scenarios. Under early position, they play too loose. Late position, they often play too tight. Shallow stack. I mean, people just make all sorts of mistakes. That's why you want to make sure you're studying poker and getting good at it. How do I rate the random number generator of GG? I'm sure it's fine. How can you play live in Miami? There are plenty of unlicensed, unregulated sites operating illegally within America. You can do a quick search on the internet. They'll come right up. Now, the question is, do you want to play on unlicensed, unregulated, illegal sites? A lot of people don't want to do that. If that's the case, then no, you don't get to play in Florida. What's the best resource to see which hands are profitable to call off in a tournament? Just get, what's that thing called? Equilab. Just get Equilab and run your scenario. That kind of thing is very, very easy. You lost a pot the other day where you had 1.5 big blinds, button versus cutoff open and call with Jack 7 suited. Friend said it was bad. Probably was not bad. Get Equilab. This is a very, very basic concept. Equilab will solve all of these problems for you. Figure out your pot odds, how often you need to win. Figure out the range you're against. Run your hand against the range. Then you have your answer. When do you know that you're not good enough to play in poker tournaments? Any numbers? If you just play recreationally and thinking you're good enough to put volume in? I mean, this is a weird question, but I would basically say if you're losing, if you don't find spots where you are clearly making an edge, you're probably not good enough to win the game. Simple as that, right? The new book is awesome. Excelling at Tough No Limit Hold'em Games. Well, good. Thank you. Glad you're enjoying it. If you all feel like it, leave a review on Amazon or Goodreads or wherever you leave a review. Currently, we don't have very many reviews, and getting reviews saying that my work is nice and good is very, very helpful. We'd appreciate it. But when you know you're not good enough in poker tournaments, really, I mean, again, it goes back to the question, right? If you just play recreationally, who cares if you're good enough to win in the poker tournaments because you're playing for a recreation, for fun anyway, right? If you play a $5 buy-in tournament once a week and you lose at it every time, who cares? You lose $5 a week, you'll be all right. My cup of coffee says party poker. Yes, it does. I like party poker. Are you going to play there? I have played on party poker many times. Are they trying to sign you? Not as far as I know. Are they? If I hold a party poker cup, do you think party poker is more likely to come and give me a good deal? My goal is not to get a deal from a poker site. My goal is to help all of you get good at poker so that I don't ever need to get a deal from a poker site. That said, if a good poker site did want to give me a deal, I'd happily consider it. Am I going to do a bankroll challenge? I've done that in the past. That was very boring to me, and I did not like it. I've already done a bankroll challenge also where I turned $50 into millions. I know you all weren't around for that one. I did another one where I turned $300 into about $3,000 before I got bored and quit. Turns out playing tiny stakes games is not really what I want to be doing with my time. What's the sickest runs you made in non-poker gambling games? So we don't need to talk about that. Would you vote for Trump if he legalizes online poker tomorrow? I don't think online poker is the only thing that matters in the world at this point, so no. I'm not one of the very selfish poker players who would vote for anyone for anything if that was just like definitively good for you. I would hope that all of you would make better decisions and think, I want online poker, so if a candidate makes online poker available tomorrow, I'm voting for him. I don't care about anything else. Seems a little bit short-sighted, right? Someone told me the other day that they are definitely voting for, I think they were talking about Bernie back in the day, because they like to smoke pot and Bernie wants to make pot legal. That was their stance for the reason to vote for him. And, while that's this a perfectly viable thought of, I want to be able to smoke marijuana legally in my house or whatever, seems like a silly reason to vote for a president who's going to run the whole country, right? Seems kind of asinine. But that's just me. That's just me. Have I heard that GG banned a lot of players? They should ban the players if they're using programs that are not allowed to be used. There are some programs that are definitively not allowed to be used on sites. If you use these programs, you should be banned. If you break the rules, especially if the rules are clearly stated, you should be banned. So, sure. I mean, back in I don't know if all of you know this, like a year and a half ago, PokerStars banned about an entire stable of poker players, like a whole backing group who were using like very basic real-time solvers in tournaments. I know this because I'm advisor to a different poker backing site, and all the poker backing sites were working on their own because like, hey, these people have this real-time solving thing, we should get one of these. And PokerStars made it very clear very quickly, you don't use that stuff on our site because we're going to ban you and take all of your money. So like this is not new. This is just new because it's happening today instead of a year and a half ago. So I mean, this stuff's been around for forever. Who are my favorite poker players? I'm not typically much of a fanboy of poker players, but I like the people who get out there, do good work, crush the games, aren't overly flashy, etc. Can we do a basic PIO setup webinar? It's not a bad idea. We'll certainly consider it. Send us an email. All right, let's see. How much do we charge for private coaching? We have a coaching forum where you can actually get coaching from all sorts of our coaches at pokercoaching.com. It's in the tools section, I think, where you can request private coaching from myself or anyone else. And we all offer all sorts of different options. Do we hodl Bitcoin or just use it for online poker? We hodl a little bit. Been hodling the Decred for a while. That's not going great. Let's see. Are there any solvers for 6-card Omaha? I have no clue. Is ICMizer a solver? I don't know. I don't think so. I do like ICMizer a lot, though. I use it very, very frequently when studying final table scenarios. What are people making with giant raises pre-flop nowadays? I don't know. Call them and see, right? Like questions like what are people doing in various games, I just can't answer that, right? Because I don't know. Can you solve spots using HRC like ICMizer would? I believe you can, but it's just a whole lot more input and a whole lot more effort. HRC is it's a versatile tool, but it's also a significantly more tedious tool in my experience. ICMizer is very good for studying exactly what it's trying to study, which is ICM spots, whereas HRC can study lots of other spots a little bit easier, I think. Kids are in, James is in virtual school, or I'm sorry, brick and mortar school, 3 hours a day. Thomas is not in school yet, he's too young. Are the sites sharing liquidity? Like if you play in New Jersey, can you also play against people in Nevada? I don't know the exact rules, but it's state by state, I believe. But I do believe Nevada and New Jersey people are playing against each other. Do we have something similar to a game where you get to play against bots? I mean, we have over 1,000 quizzes where you can go through and you can get real-time feedback from good poker players, myself included, about how you should play every single betting round. I mean, we have over 1,000 of those. We also have GTO quick play quizzes coming out very soon on our app. We have a push fold quiz, et cetera, et cetera. So we have some quizzes, but you have to be careful of just very basic quizzes because, basic quizzes mean like you're playing against a bot because who knows how the bots actually play, right? I much prefer to have real scenarios against real opponents with real-time feedback from very strong poker players. How do you know how much to adjust? That's the question, right? This is a good question because the answer is going to be still I don't know, but how do you know how much to adjust? It's based on how confident you are in your reads, right? If you're very confident in your reads, you should probably adjust a lot. If you're not very confident in your reads, you should probably adjust a little bit. So how do you know how confident you should be in your reads? Practice and experience, right? How long do you stick with an adjustment to know it's effective? You'll usually see your opponents doing things wrong, and you'll need to start adjusting pretty much immediately to take advantage of that, and you stick with it until it's no longer wrong. Brandon, search on YouTube, Jonathan Little USA. I'll list a few of the sites where you can play illegally in America if you feel inclined. You have to understand, many people are single-issue voters. I understand it, but I think it's very short-sighted. Could you imagine, say I wanted to do cocaine right outside in front of my apartment. Let's just pretend like that's what I want to do. And a president said, we're going to do all these other things that are horrible for the world, but you can do cocaine outside in front of your building if you feel like it. Therefore, I should vote for them? I mean, that's just ridiculous, right? You have to understand it's not all about you. It's very important to realize it's not about you. Especially if you have any sort of country allegiance whatsoever. It's about helping everyone to some extent, not just you. But a lot of people, I understand. It's like poker, right? A lot of people are purely out for themselves. We talked about poker boycotts earlier today, why they often don't work. Because the people who only care about themselves are just not going to boycott and they're going to take all the money. And that's kind of what happens in a lot of scenarios like this. Any tips for someone interested in trying poker commentary? Just do it. Start commentating on all sorts of stuff. Record yourself playing, right? would you consider having children while playing poker for work? Sure. I was actually interviewed about this yesterday. And they said, is it possible to have a family and kids and all that and be a poker player? The answer is yes. You just have to learn to not be a degenerate. I mean, back when I used to play at Bellagio every day, I would literally go to Bellagio every day, 10 hours a day, and play poker. That was my work schedule. And I had a regular life besides that. I'd wake up, I'd go to the gym, get to go out for dinners, and it was just like a normal life. But what a lot of poker players do is they just are absolute degenerates. They want to go get drunk and go party, and they want to play poker all day and all night and do 24-hour sessions, all this, which is ridiculous. If you treat poker like nonsense, you're going to have a nonsense life. If you treat it professionally, you'll have a way more professional life. All Ambition says, you credit my materials for your huge tournament turnaround. Well, good. I'm glad to help. Glad that you're learning from it. Do you still talk to Ryan DePaulo? I talked to him just the other day. Seems like a nice, reasonable enough human. That said, I don't know him all that well. Is being married with babies bad for your poker career? I think for most people, if all you care about is your career, anything that distracts you from your career is probably bad for that. However, most people don't only care about their career, right? So whenever you have a family and children, you're saying, I'm trading my time to do other things, whether it be your career, whether it be hanging out with your buddies, whether it be going fishing every week, whether it be going to poker tournaments. You're trading those things for a family. You're saying, I would rather have a family than have these things. And that's okay, right? Other than reading books, what constitutes study? I watch a lot of training videos and take notes on them and try to figure out things that those people are doing while I am while I'm watching them that I'm not doing that I could perhaps be doing better. Lux says, you got both my books. They look great. Well, good. I'm glad they look great to you. Leave a review for them on Amazon if you feel inclined. I would appreciate it. How much do you make in a year in poker? Depends on how much you play of poker in a year. It's a pure math problem. Obviously, if you're asking like the exact amount, sometimes you're going to have big wins, sometimes you're going to have bad years, right? Like I've had 2 years where I've won like $1 million, and I've had 2 years where I lost like 200K. That's normal. If you're playing high stakes, high variance tournaments and you don't put in a ton of volume, right? Why do you cherry pick questions? Some of them I don't feel like answering. Whenever people write an essay like this, like I don't even feel like reading this. It's just like, this is too much. How do you know executives of these online poker companies don't have someone playing on God super user accounts? You don't. Such persons would not get caught unless they were stupid and try to win every hand. Sure. Was it actually worth me answering that question? Take a second and ask yourself that. How do you feel about Poker Cruncher? I don't know. Isn't this just like ICMizer? Affleck talks about both equity and EV of a player's range. What are the differences between these? Does it have to do with equity realization? Yes. So equity is how much equity you have at a specific point in time. So like let's say someone raises, I'm in the big blind, I might have 40% equity with my hand. But I'm going to under-realize that my EV may only be like 35% or 30% because I'm going to end up check folding a lot of the time when I miss or check folding or folding by the river when I make bottom pair. So it does have to do with equity realization. What has changed since mastering Small Stakes No Limit Hold'em? Honestly, not a lot. That book was I've continued to develop frameworks to understand why I do what I do, but the content in that book is still very, very good. Which is good. I mean, I wrote the book to be just like good, fundamentally sound GTO book, adjusting to what your opponents do wrong. That's what I still do today, because that's just good, fundamentally sound poker. Are you too old to start grinding if you're 50 years old? Probably not. Will they ban phones and sunglasses? Probably not. Can you put your debit card on a poker site? Almost certainly not. So listen, if you're going to be playing on an unlicensed, unregulated, illegal gambling site, you think they're going to take your licensed, regulated Visa credit card or debit card? No. You pretty much have to use Bitcoin or player-to-player transfer if you're going to be playing on these illegal sites. So you better learn how to use Bitcoin. As I said, I already made a video, Brandon. Go to YouTube, type in YouTube Jonathan Little. I tell you how to cash out, do the opposite to cash in, or to buy in. And I also discuss which sites to play. If I ever played on Bravado, I don't know what Bravado is. Do not use your debit card. Do not request a check. None of that. Don't do that. It's a big mistake. It's going to take forever. You're going to get issues with your credit cards. Don't do that. How do you deal with such a wide array of people? How is it to deal with such a wide array of people? I think you have to understand, Louis Philippe, that everyone is trying to do their best in their situation. And it's important for me, or anyone, to understand that when you're interacting with people, you don't know their situation. So there are a bunch of various sayings that basically say something to the effect of, don't think people are being rude, mean, dense, silly, whatever. Assume they are just trying to do good work and improve themselves. There's a good one. Never attribute to malice something that could be contributed to ignorance or something like this. And you want to do your best to help other people no matter what situation they are in. Favorite Chinese food dish? I don't really like Chinese food all that much. Don't know why. We used to eat Chinese food a lot as a kid. Maybe that's why I don't like it today. What would I get from a Chinese place if I had to do it now? Probably just something basic like wonton soup. Chicken with broccoli, beef with broccoli. I don't know. It's kind of boring. God's Big Toe and Crazy Sixes run a study stream on Saturday where they go through quizzes. Yeah, exactly. And you get the answers you get their answers, which is great. Definitely check that out if you want to if you want to see what's happening at Poker Coaching. Do that. Also, if you just sign up for pokercoaching.com, there's a lot of free content there that gives you access to that. Which president would be better for online poker, in my opinion? I do not know. I have not read anything about their stances towards online poker. And again, I don't really care about that at the end of the day. Remember I said I moved to Budapest. I relocated to Budapest. That's a very different thing. Relocate means go and get a place there for a short period of time so that you are now a resident of that place, which is required by some poker sites. How many tournaments do you play at one time? As many as I can. How many do we play in a day? So, you all saw me streaming when I was streaming a lot on various Sundays. I usually play about 40 or 50 tournaments a day. Usually trying to roughly 16 table at the most. Let's see. If someone has a bad shark scope, does that mean they must be bad at poker? Clearly not. Shark scope misses a whole lot. Also, you're probably unaware of a lot of other names and sites, etc. people are playing on. It's very, very easy to go on downswings very easy to go on downswings is what it amounts to. Especially if you start small, win a bunch, and then start playing substantially bigger. So I updated my iPhone, and now my calendar app sends me every calendar notification 2 times. I have to figure out how to make that stop. Oh gosh, who do you get training from? The other poker coaching coaches. I hire the people I want to learn from. You started using my opening 3-bet sizings. If you use the same sizing every stack size, does it impact your game a lot, or should you stick to your sizings? I'm not sure what you're asking here. I have sizings listed out for all sorts of stacks and positions. Gotta see The Mandalorian. Yes. It has Baby Yoda. It does. Who knows what's going on with that? This is going to sound bad. I wasn't actually a fan. I thought it was kind of boring. Didn't really care about the story. I don't know. I wanted to like it. I love Star Wars. A lot of people say they like it. I thought the Baby Yoda character was kind of boring. But at the same time, it's a baby. What do you want from the baby? Whenever you make a baby a main character of a show, what do you think's going to happen? Anyway, I will watch season 2. So, maybe I liked it enough. How much attention do you pay to the leaderboard in the tournament? None. It doesn't matter. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't matter. I've been told that one of my best skills is getting rid of all of the nonsense. And things like average chip stack, where you stand on the tournament leaderboard, all this stuff just does not matter. Don't focus on things that are irrelevant. Don't focus on stuff that's irrelevant. You see 2 versions of your book on Amazon. Which is older? Which one are you referring to, Apollo? Whenever I say, it turns out, or take a second, think about it, you extend your premium membership by an extra month. All right, good. Take a second, think about it, figure it out. Is Bravado a good poker site? Well, it's unlicensed, unregulated, and it operates illegally, so take that for what it's worth. Is it a good site? I don't know. They've still been trying to approve my documents. They sure are going through a whole lot of effort to approve one document that has my address right on the front page of it. So maybe they're like thoroughly studying my credit card statement. But it is what it is. Is poker strategy always changing? Yeah, a little bit. What's better, 200 no limit tables or one 200 no limit table? In order to make $200 a day, that's not how this works, Obi. You're not going to ever make specifically $200 a day. That's not how poker works. You're going to have big swings. And in reality, you want to play more volume because more volume decreases your variance. So if your goal is to actually have more consistently profitable days, you want to be playing as many tables as possible. You can use a credit card on Global Poker. I think that actually is true. So with Global Poker, I think you can. And the reason is because they are doing their best to operate within the laws of America. You have to use some convoluted gold coin system, but they're doing their best to operate as legally as they possibly can. So you can use debit card on there, and I think it's fine. But the other sites, you basically have to use crypto. The other commentators on Poker Go are too monotone. You know, believe it or not, I'm kind of monotone too, so I don't know if that's a good justification for me to be the commentator. Oh, man. I feel like it's been a monotone stream. Sorry if this has been a monotone stream. That's what happens when you answer 100 questions. How do you feel about Global Poker? Sure. They don't have very good volume. If I was playing like small stakes, I think it'd be way better than if I'm trying to play high stakes. That's really the issue. Whenever you have to understand, whenever Jonathan Little wants a poker site to play on for him, I want a lot of volume at high stakes. All I really care about. Program can be bad. Cash in, cash out options can be bad. As long as I don't think I'm being cheated, as long as they have lots of volume at high stakes, I don't care. But Global Poker does not particularly have a lot of volume at high stakes. Like on Sundays, they have 2 or 3 $200 buy-in tournaments, and that's it. I want like 30 $200 buy-in tournaments, so just substantially more. All right, let's see. Ignorance runs rampant in poker and many other things. Any new startups I'm in the past few months that are interesting? I've invested in one called Fluent Forever. It's basically a good Duolingo, which teaches you how to learn languages. And another one called Steezy, which is a membership training site that teaches people how to dance. I don't know how to dance. I don't use Steezy, but I like membership training sites, and I definitely like them if they are good, high quality, and they have a very, very big potential market. So there you go. Two membership training sites that I've invested in. Let's see. It's difficult for you to not be results oriented. Understand every play you make wins or loses money on average. What happens right now does not matter. If you win or lose on a day, it does not matter. You win or lose a hand, it does not matter. A lot of stuff doesn't matter. You need to get the things that don't matter out of your head. Probably, though, you're playing way too big for your bankroll, or you are not putting in enough volume. Usually, one of those two things is almost always true. Basically, you're just gambling. Whenever you're gambling, you care about the short term. Whenever you're not gambling, you don't care about the short term. $20,000 bankroll, what game should you be playing? Well, it depends on your skill level, right? Just because you have a bankroll doesn't mean you should be playing specific games. If I had 20K and you plopped me down in Vegas today and said, go at it, I would play 2-5 no limit. If I got down to 15K, I would go back to 1-3 no limits. That's exactly what I would do, and I would grind it hard. What foods do we suggest while grinding? I don't know, eat whatever you want. My dad and Aunt Lisa are here today. Good morning, good morning. Hope you're having a great day. Why are commentators so serious? You know, you have to understand, some people are going to be serious, some people are going to be goofy. Find people who you like and go with it. Let's see. What's your take on the greatest poker player, Mike Postle? I mean, I've already said that I am very, very confident he was not playing by the rules of the game. How many times will you rebuy? Up until what buy-in level? So you have to understand, when you re-enter, most tournaments aren't rebuy, but whenever you're re-entering, you are basically playing a brand new tournament with a new blind level. So if you're happy playing this new tournament with this new blind level, so let's just say you're buying a new tournament with 30 big blinds, then that's all you're doing, right? So you don't want to look at it as, I'm in this tournament 6 times. Every single entry is an individual tournament. And what big blind level depends on the stakes of the game, right? As the game gets tougher, you're going to have a lower and lower edge at shallower and shallower stacks. So if you're playing in like a small stakes game, I'll re-enter infinite, right? Like whenever you watch me, whenever I used to stream on Sundays, I would, like the $200 games, I would just re-enter max. Like buying with 8 big blinds, I don't care, because I think I still have a little bit of an edge in there. You probably make like $3 per time you buy in for every $200 you invest or something. So it's not like a ton of money, but it's some. But I'm not like re-entering $2,500 tournaments last second. Not because the money's bigger, but because you have a smaller edge against better players to the point that whatever edge you has goes away. Let's see. Hold'em Manager missed some hands. I don't know, man. Talk to Hold'em Manager support. It's your Congress that decides if online poker is legal, not the president. Ask your senator and representative. Okay, sure. Again, I'm not so versed on exactly what happened. People like The Mandalorian because it was better than the trilogy. Okay, sure. Unfortunately, I'm not comparing it to the trilogy. The new one, the new trilogy. All right. What do you do when players start playing back with you? Do you just leave? No, you stop folding. What's the best way to study after your session? Should you hire a coach? You should definitely hire a coach if you're going to be playing for decent money, that's for sure. But yeah, post hands on Discord, post them on our forum. You'll get feedback about them. Run them through, like, make sure you're making good calls and good folds in various spots. Make sure you're just playing well. Which of these sites is most accurate? I don't know. 4-hand in a tournament, 2 short stacks, and the player sitting out. You'll blind out after him. You're only playing the best hands. Yeah, you should probably take the free payout jump. Usually, in most scenarios. Does it matter? 2.5x, 2.2x when you're shallower, etc. It doesn't really matter. Do whatever you want. But yeah, I like your strategy. Let's see. Is there an etiquette for when online players are sitting out? You recently was in a tournament where you were the only player not sitting out. If people are sitting out, it's going to sound bad, but in theory you should blind them off as fast as you possibly can because they would do the same to you. It's tough because, like, you'd like to do the quote-unquote right thing and give them time to come back, but at the same time, if you know that they are probably not going to do the right thing and wait for you to come back, they're just going to blind you out. When you happen to be sitting out, you are kind of obligated to blind them out too, which is unfortunate. I just realized I don't think I turned on Instagram today. Ha! I'm such a fish. Nightbot is so sassy. Yeah, it is. Don't mouth off the Nightbot. Let's see. You won 3 tournaments this week after you bought Hold'em Manager 3 and started studying poker coaching. Good. That's what we're going for. What's my ROI this year? I think roughly like 50-something% online. Obviously, I haven't played much live. ROI is kind of a funny number too, though. Like, do you mean average ROI? Do you mean total ROI? Because if you're looking at total ROI, every high stakes player's total ROI is going to be pretty low, just because you're going to have a low ROI in the highest stakes games you play. But your ROI in the lower stakes games can be substantial, right? So usually what it amounts to is like lower stakes games you have like 80% or 100%. High stakes games you have like 20 or 30%. Which, you know, average it out the door, 40, 50, 60, somewhere in there. How has COVID affected the live player pools? As far as I know, live poker is very, very soft because a lot of the best players are just not playing it. You find that too much volume hurts you. Well, no, too much volume... No, volume is good. Volume cures variance. If you find that you lose in the long run, it means you're not a good poker player. That's exactly what that means, right? If you are a winning poker player, you want to play a lot. For example, let's say you go to the casino and we're going to play roulette. If you play a lot of volume at roulette, you play a lot, you are going to lose. Why? Because the casino has the edge. So, don't play roulette, period. But if you are going to play, you want to play the minimum amount of volume. So Nick, what you're saying here is that as you play more hands, you lose more money. That means you're a losing poker player. So if that's the case, you're gambling when you play poker. And if that's the case, then you want to play as few hands as possible, right? Why do large tournaments necessarily have to have better players? Because it turns out that people who are willing to invest more money in things like poker presume they have an edge in these games. And also, it's very difficult to get a hold of a lot of money to play in these games. This is especially true when you find young people, right? If there are young people playing high-stakes tournaments, unless they got money from their parents or something, they want it playing poker. So if they want a bunch of money playing poker, you have to presume they're good at poker, right? Also, there are fewer people in the world who have disposable income to play high-stakes games for free. You saw me in the LA Poker Classic. I made Phil Ivey fold, and he rolled his eyes. Cool. What do you think about Dune? I bought the book Dune a long time ago, but I never read it. All right, I have to get going. Thank you for all of your questions. I think we got through most of them. Hope you're all having a great day. Hope you make the most of your day. I have to go, though. I have a call starting in literally 2 minutes. We're having a sale, pokercoaching.com/fall sale. Check it out. Click like, click subscribe. I appreciate it. I'll be back on Friday, bright and early, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Also did a webinar just yesterday where I reviewed 10 hands that one of my students played in a $2,000 buy-in high-stakes tournament. Check that out on YouTube. Should be the most recent video there, youtube.com/pokercoaching. That's just right there, free for all of you. Hope you have a great day. Hope you make the most of it. Be nice, have fun. Click the like button. I'll talk to you next time.